Good morning. This is Dishha Bagchi for ThePrint, and we are back with Lieutenant General retired H.S. Panag to discuss his column from this week. New road to DBO not enough to stop PLA. Tunnel under Saser Pass is the solution. Welcome back, General. Thank you for being here.
As I always say, it's a pleasure to discuss my column with you.
So in this week's column, you analyze the Daulat Beg Oldie or DBO sector, its vulnerabilities and the significance of the region in India's national security. So could you talk to us about what the strategic importance of the sector is in terms of its location at the LAC and the 1959 claim line?
The DBO sector is an extension of the Aksai Chin Plateau. It is the northernmost part of India. It lies 60 kilometers east of this famous Siachen Glacier. This is one place where collusion can physically take place between China and Pakistan, in the sense, hypothetically, if the Chinese capture DBO sector and then go on to capture the Saser Pass, they will get behind our defenses in the Siachen Glacier and make them untenable. As far as DBO sector is concerned, it is also forms a tri-junction presently between Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, China, and India at the Karakoram Pass. But the actual tri-junction is between Afghanistan, China, and India because Gilgit-Baltistan is under Pakistan's occupation, illegal occupation, and it has further ceded the Shaksgram Valley to China. So actual tri-junction is at the Wakhan corridor with Afghanistan, China, and India. Coming back to the DBO sector proper, the most notable feature of the DBO sector are the Depsang plains. These plains are irregular in size. They are 60 to 70 kilometers east to west and 40 to 50 kilometers north to south. The base height is 17,000 feet. It's one of the highest plateaus in India. And it is interspersed with features which rise from 18,000 to 19,500 feet. The terrain is gradual, the hills are gradual and negotiable by, wheeled vehicles as well as tracked vehicles and conducive for operations by the mechanized forces. The 1959 claim line runs across the Depsang plains. It starts from about 8 to 10 kilometers. It starts from Karakoram Pass and comes down 8 to 10 kilometers east of DBO. Now, up to about midway or the northern half of the plains, it coincides with the present LAC. That is the LAC as we perceive it. And below that, there is a difference because as per the Chinese, the 59 claim line passes through Bottleneck and it's also called Y Junction. Whereas as per us, the LAC, and which we have been patrolling up to 2020, lies 18 to 20 kilometers east of Bottleneck. That is at little beyond patrolling points 10, 11, 12, and 13. It is in 1962, our posts were about 8 to 10 kilometers east of the 59 claim line in the northern half. And in the southern half, we were almost 30 to 40 kilometers east of Bottleneck. But over the years, after the Chinese unilaterally withdrew, and by the time the 93 agreement was signed, which first time in written terms brought the LAC into this thing, whereas we were said LAC is where we are today, line of actual control. Chinese said no, the LAC is 1959, but they never clarified it. So we were patrolling up to 18 to 20 kilometers east of the Bottleneck and or Y Junction, and Chinese were also patrolling up to Bottleneck. So it was a kind of a zone, just like what we had north of Pangong, so which both sides were patrolling. The problem in Depsang Plains is that the way the 59 claim line is configured, China has a number of avenues via the Raki Nala, via the Jivan Nala, and even at other places opposite DBO, the 59 claim line is just 8 to 10 kilometers. And our strategic roads run very close to the 59 claim line. That means it's always vulnerable. So presently, we are defending this sector with a brigade size formation along with mechanized forces. So our deterrent is based on the fact that no matter what, how vulnerable our communications may be currently, we will cause prohibitive casualties in case you come and attack us.
Right. So you mentioned the bottleneck or the Y junction multiple times in the discussion. So what are the implications of the PLA blocking this area in 2020, and how has it affected Indian national security?
See, as I mentioned, we were patrolling up to our patrolling points 10, 11, 12, and 13, which are 18 to 20 kilometers east of Bottleneck. Bottleneck is the place from where all the tracks go to these patrolling points. Chinese were also patrolling up to this. There was no problem, and normal protocol of 93, 96 prevailed. Patrols met each other, showed banners, and dispersed. So we had been doing this, and patrols were going up to prior to May 2020. This has been confirmed by the Northern Army Commander General Hooda, as well as by the erstwhile 14 Corps Commander. What the Chinese did in May 2020 was they came and set up a kind of a post at the Y junction or bottleneck, and said that your patrols can't go, and this is the actual line of actual control. This is the 59 claim line, and this is where we will be. So they have prevented our patrols from going to these four patrolling points, 10, 11, 12, and 13, and there's one 11 alpha also, so call it 5 patrolling points. Now, we have not physically challenged them to avoid escalation. And negotiations have been going on, at military talks, and also between the joint secretaries who have another kind of avenue in a kind of a forum that is there to maintain peace and tranquility on the borders. But this is where the situation stands. Now, what happens then is that when we are not allowed to go to those patrolling points, which are 18 to 20 kilometers away, and this is the entire southern half of the Depsang Plains we can't cover. So it becomes an area of about 18 to 20 kilometers wide and almost 40 kilometers north to south. Yeah. So it becomes an area of almost 600 to 800 square kilometers. This is the largest chunk which the Chinese have denied to us, which was under our control or patrolled by us up to May 2020. And as we discussed in one of my earlier columns, that Chinese are not only saying that they will not pull back, they are also saying that the buffer zone must be west of the bottleneck, another 15-20 kilometers. That means they almost want to come up to our strategic artery. That's the road, this DBO road.
Yeah. So you mentioned in the column that there are new roads that were being built in the DBO sector, which have in a way improved connectivity, but have certain vulnerabilities. So what are these road connections in the DBO sector, and why are they being seen as vulnerable? And we also talked about the new road that's being built in the region and how it's not enough. And what are your recommendations then? What can be done?
Yeah, see, logistics has been a big issue for the DBO sector because of its remoteness. Firstly, our road communications, another almost 200 kilometers up north along the deepest of gorges of the Shok River to reach DBO. So in 62, we actually made an airstrip there. It was made in 61, And in 62, it was operational, and we were maintaining the troops by landing the packet aircraft or carrying out airdrops. And after 62, because the Chinese, we evacuated the DBO and Chinese had captured the DBO. So after 62, when we went back, the Air Force, the airstrip was not commissioned and it went into disuse. And it was only reactivated in 2008. And now it has been upgraded, and even C-130 aircraft can land there at DBO. So that was the lifeline earlier. Now, to offset this problem of communications, which were dependent on yaks, mules, porters via Saser La Pass, Saser La Pass, Murgo, and up to DBO. We started making two roads. The first road, the first preferred alignment was from Leh to Nubra River, Nubra to Sasoma, Sasoma to Saserla, Saserla to Murgo, and on to DBO. Now, because of the immense difficulties of negotiating Saserla Pass, which is 17,600 feet and which remains snowbound, the progress along this side was very slow. Now, simultaneously, another alignment was chosen along the Shok River. The Shok River actually it meanders here. It comes from the north, goes east, then comes down, and then comes back and goes towards the north. So this alignment begins from a place called Darbuk, which is about 108 kilometers from Leh, and then it follows the Shok River for another, almost sort of 255 kilometers to DBO. It was a very difficult alignment because there were deep gorges and the river used to cut across the road. Construction began in 2012, and then it was finally only completed in 2017. In fact, when the first confrontation took place in Depsang in 2013. That's the time the road was under construction, and this was the bone of contention. That is where the Chinese had come into bottleneck at that time. So this road is a marvel of engineering. In fact, it's probably the most fascinating road there is in the world today. But it unfortunately goes very close to the LAC. Or the 59 claim line in these areas. In the at this place where we had the famous clash during 2020 in the river, it is only 5 kilometers from where the Galwan River joins the Shok River. That junction, that's from where the road passes, it's only 5 kilometers from the LAC. That means it can be cut off there. Then at the Jeevan Nala near Murgo, it can be cut off. Again, because of the alignment of the 59 claim line, it can be cut off via Rakhi Nala. Even beyond that, it is only 15 to 20 kilometers. 7 to 10 kilometers from the 59 claim line. So it can be cut off at a number of places. So it not be usable during war. In war, perforce, we'll have to rely with what we have there. Now, to offset this problem, we have done two things. One was that within the Depsang Plains, we have made a road from Kizil Jilga, that is just near Burtse, to take it further west. Rather than going straight to DBO and remaining vulnerable from the 59 claim line, we went further west about 40 kilometers, skirted around and came back to DBO via Gapshan, a place called Gapshan. So that is one. A number of other roads have been made in the rear for deployment of our troops, but the main artery remains vulnerable. The second thing, what is the theme of the paper, that the new road now has been developed. The Saser La Pass has been conquered by the border roads, in the sense that they have been able to take the road across, and a 56-kilometer road has been made from Sasoma to Murgo. Now, at the Saser La Pass, to withstand snow, they are putting interlocking ties. of concrete, and they will be completed in the near future. But it only will safeguard during light snow, that is early winter and early or late winter part. But in the thick of winter, the snow will be too much, and road will again be unusable. That's the first problem. So unless the tunnel is made, this road also serves no useful purpose in winters. The second problem is that this road goes and joins at Murgo. It goes and joins the DBO road for the last 61 kilometers again. So again, the problem is that it can be cut off via Jeevan Nala at Murgo. It can be cut off via Raki Nala at Burse, and anywhere else wherever it sort of as the DC, it is as vulnerable as the DBO road. Only thing you have avoided is the vulnerability at Galwan River, but it still remains vulnerable. So this road, what one can say is, it's good. We have one more artery, but not good enough. So what is the requirement? The requirement is, and which the border roads are already working on. As you cross the Saserla Pass, there's a plateau called Saser Brangza, from where the new road, which we have made to join at Murgo, it goes southeast. Now there is another alignment northeast along the Shok River first, and then along the Chipchap River, which comes right next to the DBO airfield. Now the problem here is that the terrain here is extremely difficult, and the western portion is glaciated, and eastern portion has got sheer cliffs. So there's no choice but to cut along the eastern portion. We have taken it 15 kilometers to the northeast from Saser Brangza, and we have also come down about 15 kilometers down from Gapshun. This is what is visible on the Google Maps. On open source intelligence. The in between 25 to 30 kilometers is the most challenging, but a human endeavor has overcome many difficulties, and border roads have always risen to the occasion. Once this road is made, it will be an absolutely secure road. And in addition, the 4-kilometer tunnel which the government has planned and the border roads are planned, and which construction should begin shortly because complete technical details and all have been completed. Appreciation has been done. So once the tunnel is there and this new alignment to the northeast gets ready, then we will have absolutely secure communications to this place. And there we can not only then defend the DBO sector, we can also induct a larger force for offensive operations from the DBO sector into the Aksai chain.
We were talking about the vulnerabilities of the sector. So what do you think the army is doing to defend the region overall from these vulnerabilities until these new roads and this tunnel is built?
Yes. Like I mentioned to you, that at the moment we have to live with this till we find this alternate alignment and the tunnel is made. So this one. So what it requires is that the vulnerability at Galwan River Junction has to be defended. So obviously the army would have taken adequate measures to defend it, and defend it in strength, that it cannot be overrun in a hurry by the Chinese. In fact, this is exactly what the Chinese were trying, to gain more advantage from the river bend, the bend of the Galwan River, to have better observation. This is what they were trying, which has been denied to them now after the clash, as well as the buffer zone that has been created there. But so we will defend it in strength. We will defend Murgo so that we do not cut off by Jeevan Nala. We will defend also Burse area, so that via Raki Nala they don't cut us off. Yeah. In addition, our defenses have been made very strong in the DBO sector. We got a fairly large size force, a brigade size force, and a mechanized forces combat group, and enough artillery there, and then of course air power and all. So our modus operandi or our logic, till such time we have more secure communications and till such time we use this as a launch pad for the offensive, is that we will impose prohibitive casualties, which is something nobody can afford. And in uncertainties of war, it will also grind the PLA to a halt there. And so this is the deterrent. But looking at it militarily, overall, its vulnerability will remain from the logistics point of view, isolation point of view, till such time we develop the alternate route.
By when do you think this alternate route will be, built and secured?
I'm quite certain that the tunnel should be ready in about 2 years' time, and by that time the alternate route would be a road would be available. So in 2 years' time we shall have this, and it's not that, as I said, it's not that we are defenseless. I mean, that would be putting it too simplistically. No, it is a relative issue that it can be cut off and isolated. But even if you're isolated, so what? We always have resources to fight for almost a continuous battle for 6 months to 1 year. So the stocks are built up, and it's a minus, even in summer the temperature remains minus 10, 15. So nothing goes bad there in terms of food supplies, ammunition, enough stocking is done. And presently aircraft are landing there. And it's not that the Chinese are not interfering with the roads. So we will build enough stocks, and I don't think it should be a problem. DBO is safe with the Indian Army.
Right. It's a relative issue more than anything. So, well, thank you, General. I think you brought up some very interesting points about the DBO sector, which is not often discussed in mainstream media as much as it should be, considering its significance to India's national security. And for viewers interested in reading the full article by General Panag, the link to it will be in the description below. Thank you, and we will see you next week.